Hello, I'm John McAllister with the John McAllister Sports Report. And as many know, we do a lot of different things, a lot of different podcasts, players, coaches, we do a lot of different sports. Today, we're going to go into the college football coaching profession and talk with Mark Carney, the head football coach at Kent State University. I don't know him. I watched him play in high school many, many years ago, but I'm looking forward to talking with Mark today. He's done a good job there at Kent State. I think he's got things excited. He's got things on the roll. And I'm really curious about just who Mark Carney is. So if you'll sit back and enjoy my video podcast with Mark Carney, head football coach at Kent State University. As I said earlier in my promo, or my intro, that my guest today is Mark Carney, the head football coach at Kent State University. And I'm excited because in the course of doing this, what I do for 30 some years, I meet a lot of guys. Mark and I have met before, but it's a great time to talk with him. I'm so impressed with Kent State football right now. Coach Carney, welcome aboard.
Coach McAllister, I appreciate you having me.
Tell you real quickly, tell me, I read this someplace, and this is going to set this whole thing off.
All right.
He said Mark Carney took over at Kent State.
That is accurate. That is accurate.
A highly challenged period. So you've done that. Okay. Tell me what you finished spring practice. You have camps coming up. But what's Kent State football like right now?
Yeah, a week ago, our players finished up finals, and they're enjoying the next probably week to 10 days off here. Actually, a little bit less than that. We're the 18th now, so those guys will come back on Sunday, and we'll get back into Memorial Day fun. Welcome back kind of picnic for the guys, and get right into summer training. So some time off right now. Our staff's busy recruiting. All the showcase days throughout Northeast Ohio and the state of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So hard at work as the coaches, and while our players are getting some well-deserved rest.
That's really good. Well-deserved rest, because once they get back, they get after it again.
Yes,
I've seen a lot of things on X and stuff. Your players seem to enjoy themselves and have fun. I mean, you do different things with them. Different contests, different interview them and things like that, short answer interviews. But is that the way it is?
So our athletic director, Randall Richmond, he's an Akron guy. Grew up, played football at Baldwin Wallace on the west side of Cleveland. His mission statement is, creating an atmosphere that is student-centered, focused first. And with that in mind. And knowing our locker room like I do, I know we have tremendous stories that need to be told. And I think when the leadership position changed over here a year or so ago, that was focus number one is let's let down some walls. Let's open up our doors and allow people in to see and meet our people, because I'm convinced that the most special thing about Kent State University is the people.
That's really good. I guess I think it's you can just enjoy playing the game.
Absolutely.
You also got to love the game, and I'm not so sure. When I say love football, I don't know if I don't mean going out and beating each other's heads in. I think you can love to get better. You love to build a program. You love to be around your comrades and things like that. What do you think love football? When you say to a player, do you love football? What are you trying to get out of him?
That's a great question. And I've asked this question of numerous high school football coaches throughout my career, right, is when I think about guys that love football, they're others centered, they're others focused, and they enjoy work, right? We play a sport where, like the great Kent State alum Coach Saban said, like, you better love the process.
Yeah.
And we practice and we lift and we prepare so much more than we get to perform. So if you don't love the work and the day-to-day grind of improvement, of self-improvement, this probably isn't the right sport for you. So that's a great question, Coach. It'll probably make me think about asking that a little bit differently the next high school I wander into. But yeah, football guys to me are others centered and love to work.
And boy, not everybody that plays loves football.
Agreed.
That's too bad. And when I talk to recruits and not recruits, but players and stuff, there are a few questions I ask them, sometimes a dumb question just to see how they react.
Sure.
But I'm 77 years old, so I can get away with that. But anyway, okay, you're building the football program at Kent State. Tell me where culture and accountability is a new buzzword, but tell me how culture and accountability fit in.
Yeah. So culture is a funny word, right? Is it a slogan on a wall? Is it what is it what you do? I heard Mike Jacobs speak to the OHSA coaches down in Columbus this February, and he boiled it down. Maybe had the best definition of culture that I've ever heard. And it's culture was what you do, what you say, and what you allow, right? And that's pretty self-explanatory. So, we started a year or so ago, talking about habits. What are your habits, right? I grew up in Northeast Ohio. My mom and dad were young parents, right? Just out of high school and didn't get the opportunity to go to school, went right into the workforce. And I watched my old man, take side job after side job to allow me the opportunity to go to St. Ed's, right? And quickly learned the lesson that it's not what you talk about, it's what you do. So that led perfectly into like, hey, we want to talk about being a champion. Let's live like a champion, right? Let's be about it. And yeah, that was like step number one. Then it was like, okay, what are you saying? Are you encouraging one another, or is there negativity, right? Are you wasting energy on things that aren't going to help us get better, right? And then to the accountability piece, right, is what you allow from yourself, what you allow from the guy next to you, and how do you treat and respect the spaces and the people that are in the places that we're in.
I think it's really good. I'm always curious about culture and accountability.
Yeah.
And
I think accountability, it's like there's rules, right? Guidelines, principles,
right.
Do the right thing the right way at the right time because it's right. And I think as long as you keep that at the forefront, you don't need a ton of rules. But at the same time, like when you notice someone cutting a corner or attempting to cut a corner for a little convenience, right? Where laziness just starts to creep into our, like, are you allowing it? Are you okay with that? Would you allow that from yourself?
Yeah.
That's accountability.
Exactly. In fact, when I taught school and even when I coached, I was too young to be a head football coach, but great recommendation. I could teach English, so I got a head football job early.
Yeah.
Trust me. Great recommendations. Anyway, I always try to use the word structure instead of discipline.
Sure.
Discipline is a mindset, you got to have your hair cut. No, I want structure.
Sure.
Well, I ended my sermon on that. Okay, Coach, let's go. I don't really want to talk about your team coming back. That's what guys do. In another month, you'll be doing that. You'll get so tired of it. But let's talk about. I love you played at Fordham, I think.
I did.
And then you worked at Fordham. Well, it's I have found a lot of really good head football coaches and coaches have played out at smaller schools, have coached there, have played there. More coached there, but I think you were a student assistant for a year or two.
I was.
So you had to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I think that prepares you. But tell me really quickly the timeline. I know you were at Fordham. I know you were at Bowling Green.
Sure.
You had a great coach, and you also want to get under good people. But
Absolutely.
tell me your storyline briefly.
Yeah. So grew up, was born in Fairview General Hospital, Cleveland, Ohio. Grew up a child of the 80s and 90s. So pre-cell phones and all that was a unique time in my life.
Recruited by St. Ed's.
Something like that. My brother probably more so than me, but went to St. Ed's, graduated in 98. I had a great class, a lot of different superstar athletes. Our point guard, Steve Logan, was an outstanding basketball player at Cincinnati. Steve Lepore, Sam Clancy, Andy Rovat, Mike Kolzicki. I mean, all the wrestlers, Chris Schmidt and Rock Mills, baseball players. We were loaded. Went to Fordham, small school, New York City. I thought I wanted to work on Wall Street until I got into one competitive finance class at Fordham University. I was like, nope, I'll leave this to you guys. I'm going to be a football coach. But played there for 4 years. Coach Clausen came in actually 2 days after. Crazy recruiting story. I got recruited for one staff. I signed February of 98. May of 98, got a call that the job had changed over. Nick Quattaro was the head coach at Fordham that I signed for. He left, took another job. So Ken O'Keefe came in, was my coach my freshman year. 2 days after that season, he called a team meeting, said, hey, I'm going to take the OC job at Iowa with Kirk Ferentz. Went there, and then before I left for Christmas break, I was on my third head football coach in college football. So unique lesson right off the bat. Had a great career, had a lot of fun. Coach Clausen poured into me. That staff, a lot of great coaches on those staffs. Ed Foley, Mike Elko, Dave Cohen, a lot of really good football coaches. Finished my career, had way more success than I should have. Took a lot longer to finish my degree, unfortunately, but made some bad decisions in the classroom as a junior that I regret now. Stayed there for 2 seasons. Went to Richmond. Was at Richmond from 2004 until 2008. So 04, 05, 06, 07, 08. Won the national championship at Richmond in 2008 with Mike London. Got the receivers job at Bowling Green that offseason. Was at BG with Coach Clausen and that staff 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Won the MAC in 2013. He got the opportunity to go to Wake Forest. I wanted to coordinate at that point. I was, 35 years old or getting to be 35 years old. Really felt like I was ready for the next challenge and took a job in Division III at Baldwin-Wallace. Was there for 1 season. Took an opportunity that offseason to go to Virginia State, a Division II HBCU. Awesome challenge for me. Very, very much a culture shock. A lot of great players, a lot of great people and teams. Won a championship there in 2017. Got hired for about 10 days at Austin Peay at the end of the 2018 season. And then in 19, I was at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Was there 19, 20 for COVID, 21 and 22, and then got here January 2023. So been up and down the East Coast a little bit.
What's the key to hiring assistant coaches? Because we have a lot of young guys coming out. I think guys are making mistakes because they all want to. They can, but they all want to get in a name school. They'll go to Ohio State or Michigan, and they're going to end up being student coaches, charge of this, that, and they're not going to really get so much coaching involved and decision making. What's your ideas of hiring a good young coach?
That's a great question. Having been through a full year cycle doing this job now, we've had a number of jobs turnover, right? Hired a new strength coach, which was a huge undertaking, right? Understanding that human spends so much time with your players, right? And almost more than your football staff does. So I think one is finding people with passion in their area, right, of expertise. If you're hiring a strength coach, making sure that strength coach is passionate about the development in the weight room, right, and from a speed perspective. So I think one, passion. Two, the ability to deal with adversity, right? Because whether you've faced it or not, it's coming at some point. So people that have gone through things, right? People that have maybe lost a job or let somebody down, I think is a quality that's desirable for me, right? That somebody that's been through something.
Right.
When you're looking for a young coach, right? Is I think somebody that understands that they don't maybe have all the answers just yet, and a willingness to continue to learn, right? Hopefully my best days are ahead of me still, as we're doing this, right? And I think an attitude of humility enough to understand that I don't have all the answers either, right? And I'm going to screw something up, and humble enough to know that I can make the next right decision.
Good. I don't want to really talk about the NIL because I think it's for Mid-American Conference schools. By the way, I'm a Mid-American Conference guy. I love
I
the
know you are.
MAC conference. I really do. Going to those games, and most guys let me get along the sidelines and stuff like that. But anyway, I really enjoy the MAC. And transfer portal real quickly, and we're going to end this part of the football stuff. What about the transfer portal? How is it? Well, Mark, it's got to affect you, but how is it good and bad?
For certain. Yeah. No, I think, naturally being in the great state of Ohio, right, and surrounding areas, Western Pennsylvania, Detroit, Michigan, Indianapolis, Indiana,
right.
All of Ohio, there's really, really good high school football. So at the core of recruiting is always going to be high school football.
Right.
It matters in this area. It's well coached. The community supports it, right? And if we can build our fan base around, those type of places, we're going to be okay.
Right.
But the transfer portal exists, right? And I think about it as where you might. I just finished 2 former player weddings the last couple of weekends. Guys that were in position rooms with me for 4 and 5 years, right? And I was thinking about it in Key West, Florida. That'll probably be the last player wedding that I go to that a guy's been in my room for 4 years. Especially at this level, right? There is a transactional nature to it a little bit. I'm not going to begrudge anybody for maximizing their earning potential, right? And these guys these days are making real money. If we can get a guy for 2 years and be productive here and allow that experience to launch himself to the next place, great, good for him. I'm not going to begrudge that opportunity of anybody, but we are fortunate to have the pipelines that we do around here to reestablish that next guy ready. As far as the portal, we use it, pieces and parts. Hey, we did lose a junior receiver that maybe we weren't expecting. Hey, let's think about taking a junior receiver to fill that hole on our roster.
Yeah. Okay. I sometimes in my mind, and I've done this a long time, I worry about the transfer portal being like the old junior colleges.
At the end of the day,
there's a reason they want to go there. I mean,
yeah.
So it's kind of okay. Let's talk.
We got to keep graduation at the forefront. As long as we're graduating student athletes, I think we're okay.
Okay, let's talk. Let's get away from football. Kind of like us. What does the game of college football mean to you?
Oh, man. This college football was my dream. I grew up, Northeast Ohio. There wasn't a college, local college that I threw my allegiance behind. My uncle played at BW. Had grandparents. My mother's mom and dad are from South Bend, Indiana. So Notre Dame football was I was kind of born into it a little bit. So I grew up a Notre Dame fan, and visiting that campus with my grandfather and going to spring games, that was my introduction to college football. And what a magical place. And that was my goal. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Notre Dame, and I wanted to play college football. NFL, like, I could have cared less. I just wanted to play college football. So
okay,
for me, it was like I was a kid living a dream, and now getting to be the head football coach at Kent State, I get to watch and help facilitate that dream for a lot of people.
That's kind of what I was looking for. Right now, it's a dream for you.
Yeah, I get to do this job in my backyard. We were I think it was week 6. We had a come from behind victory against Bowling Green here, and did the press conference and showered up and walked out into the parking lot, and my mother had all of her siblings there, so there were 6 of her siblings there, and her. And my dad is one of 7 as well, and he had none of his family member, or none of his brothers and sisters, but a lot of their kids and their kids' kids. So there was like 50 people, celebrating a win over BG, drinking cold beer, having a good time.
That's really awesome. That's what it's all about.
I get to send my son to St. Ed's. This is pretty cool.
Well, you kind of just alluded to that, but my next question is, what gets you really excited about, like today, or what gets you really excited about being at Kent State?
I'm home. This is where I grew up. This is okay. I get to drop my kid off at St. Ed's and pick him up every day. I get to run into my cousins. I watched my cousin's kid play soccer or softball yesterday at a tournament in Stowe. This is home, and I'm fired up to be here.
Good. Okay. What makes an excellent football player?
Ooh.
Excellent. When you're talking to people and you said, this is my idea of an excellent football player, what do you mean? What are you talking that way?
I would say, to go back to your discipline word, I would say when discipline and desire outweigh talent.
Yeah.
Special things usually happen, right? Where I've been in this business long enough where I've had a lot of really good football players that I got to coach and work alongside, and saw them achieve NFL dreams and all that. There's been a lot of really, really talented players, but the guys that achieved at the highest level and stayed at the highest level, all areas of their life were aligned in a certain way, and they were destined to be great in no matter what they did.
Yeah. I went down to a big 7-on-7. Well, I watched my grandson in Hilliard last night, but in the afternoon they had a big 7-on-7, I think 6 teams. And rewarding to me, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, but I had Gary Berry come up to me and say, Coach McAllister, how are you? And here's Gary Berry. And I'm so excited for him. And guys come up and talk to you and remember, I remember you walking around our practice and all these guys. That's kind of rewarding to me.
Absolutely.
I think you get the same thing a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay. How important is a football player's image? Let's talk college. High school, but how important is it?
So that kind of goes right alongside the NIL conversations, right? Is any more? We are all our own brand, and when guys have the opportunity to make money off of their name, image, and likeness, I think the way in which they portray themselves is incredibly important, right? We are all building a virtual resume, right? Whether that's the tape we put together on Saturday afternoons and evenings, or what we tweet out and Instagram story and Snapchat to our friends. We are constantly building our brand. So I think education about what building a brand is and why when we're trying to earn money, why certain other brands would want to align themselves with what we're portraying.
That's really good. I always remember Coach Trussell telling me years ago. He said that his biggest problem with his players were he worried about coming up and some girl coming up, maybe putting her arms around and taking a picture. or he said, that, or seeing a guy party, it can ruin careers and stuff. Not the other one, but he said he worries about that because a picture's taken, put out there. And then I think it's so important for players. The brand, I think it's so important to be good citizens. And I know that sounds hokey.
No, it's 100% true. It's 100%. The reality of living in 2026 is everybody's got a camera, a video camera, a photo camera on them at all times, and sometimes 2 and 3 of them. Yeah.
2 more questions. I'm running over here. Sorry.
Sure, you're
no, I shoot for 20 minutes, and this is 25. But it's good. 2 more questions.
All right, shoot.
What's kind of what I said earlier? What do you think the greatest challenges football players have now? What are the greatest? Give me 3. What are 3 of the greatest challenges?
I think outside noise, right? Because of social media and the need to have an image and to have a brand. I worry about the mental health of a lot of young people because of that. That's a real.
Explain what do you mean by? Well, obviously I know what it means, but what do you mean? You worry about the mental health of players?
Yeah, I have a lot of cousins, right? I grew up a big Irish Catholic family, and in maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I had a 20-year-old cousin take his own life. Why? Who knows at the end of the day? But having lived through something like that, watching my aunt and his mother and that family, our family go through that. No one should have to go through that. It's a real thing, right? Mental health is a real thing, and right. the way we interpret our value, right, has to be based on something, deeper within ourselves, right, rather than the noise of a crowd.
Okay.
I think that's probably challenge number 1.
Football.
With football, there's a lot of football out there to learn from. Maybe too much sometimes, right? Yeah. Staying focused, right, on what the individual player needs to work on to be successful. And then honestly, like, feed them enough. These guys eat a lot of food, John. It's expensive to feed them.
Okay, last question. I promise you. How have you changed? How's your attitude toward coaching and family? How's your attitude? Let's make it family. How's your attitude? Because we talked about this earlier off the air about family. How is family so important to you, or why should it be?
Yeah, I mean, family's everything, right? To me, is there it's the 3 F's in my life, right? Faith, family, and football, and that's kind of in that order. I will never sacrifice my faith or my family for the game of football, and I would never ask anyone in our program to do that. Player, coach, administrator, let's keep the main thing. So if you can't do your job around 8 and 10-year-olds screaming, running down your hallway, this probably isn't the right place to come work. We like to be pretty inclusive around here. So, this is home for me. Having the support system around in the last year, the first year doing this job, was incredibly important. It allowed me to be successful and us to be successful in doing this. So surrounding myself with people who are family centered is incredibly important.
Coach Carney, thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Coach McAllister, enjoyed it. Appreciate it. Thanks for making the time.
And I think the thing that the coaches, there are things to take out of here that are so important, I think, other than just excellence. And it's good. Again, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Coach, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.